gutted. That's a bummer. Oh, it's full of dirty water. Alrighty, so since the last video, a lot has gone on here. I've torn out the entire floor, and I shot a bunch of video pieces relating to the interior work that I'm doing. Unfortunately, there's absolutely zero audio on any of the clips that I shot, hence the voiceover. It's not bad lip sync, it's just a pure straight up voiceover. So let me go over some of the things that I am actually discussing here in the video and let you know where things stand. Alright, so one thing I noticed when I tore the floor out was that there were these, you can see the edges are still pretty rough there, but one thing I noticed were these supports that the previous owner had already put in. Now the floor must have already been kind of spongy and buckling, and they took these galvanized angle pieces with the holes, bridged some of the framing supports, and then sliced it and bent over a portion of it, and then used self-tapping screws to screw it into the framing. Leads to a beautiful support, and I'm going to be integrating a whole bunch more of these things throughout. I like the concept, and I think it works well. The lack of floor exposes the drive shaft quite nicely, and there's a couple universal joints on the drive shaft which might be worthy of being replaced just as a sort of preemptive measure. So there's one back there, and then there's another universal joint at the front. And there's also, you'll see in a second, a carrier bracket that I'm pointing to right there. Maybe I shall replace that as well. Easy to do at the moment. And hey, why not? The tag axle has this really complicated integrated air suspension aspect to it. And it's got these two bellows in the back and this inflation unit. There's a switch for deflation, inflation, and the whole system is highly complicated and completely inoperable currently. So my thought is, let me simplify this whole system and just simply put a Schrader valve on the bellows in the back. We'll see if they hold air, we'll see if that works, and if it doesn't, we'll replace the bellows, and we will also, there's like the switch unit, which is the inflation trigger. Anyway, way too complicated. We're going to simplify that right down. That's something I'm doing as well. And a bit of good news, the body mounts, which are all laid bare at this point as well, seem to be in reasonably good shape. So yeah, they're wherever those cross members meet the rails of the framing rails of the vehicle itself, and they're pretty squishy and spongy. So good news there. Now there is a fair amount of rust, mostly surface rust. I'm not like deeply disturbed by the rust situation. But I'm going to polish up all these framing rails. The really bad rust is kind of there where the fiberglass shell meets the framing, and I'm going to have to do a little bit more there. Whether I weld or just seal that up really well is still to be determined. But for the most part, I'm just going to use some sort of rust protectant on there and call it a day. Now the back of the bus has this massive air conditioning unit, and so with the big fans and the condenser is right there under the side of the bus, and I'm just going to pull this whole unit out and replace it with like a storage box. Now what that means is I'm going to lose the back air conditioner, which is fine. I intended to do that anyway. And I'm going to replace it with a mini split. But this air conditioning unit's coming out. Now the downside of that is I'm probably going to wind up disabling the entire air conditioning system since it all works off of one compressor in the engine compartment. and I'll have to reconfigure that to bypass the back air conditioner, but for now I'm just going to tear the whole thing out. Alright, windows. So the bus has a whole bunch of them. I don't need all of them, and some of them actually are broken. There's a little piece busted up in there. The bedroom, the headboard end of the bedroom is going to lose 2 windows, probably the kitchen area, storage, so forth. Going to lose some windows. I'm going to take them all out though, reseal them, and only use the ones that are still viable. That one back there has a busted out piece, and there's just a piece of plexiglass in there, so that'll work out well. Right, so rear shocks, super accessible. There was a mount right there and one right there for the drive axle. It was like a post that came through there. I cut that off. There was a nut on top. I had found replacements for those. Now the tag axle in the back had its own set of shocks, and I pulled those out, and I have a little clip to illustrate. This happens to be the one for the tag axle. I'm going to say that that's not the way that's supposed to look, so I was happy to pull that out. Also got a real nice dent in it right there. These appear to be the originals, which is fascinating. Given the surface rust, what I did was I took a wire brush to it and just removed as much of the rust as I could to get at any kind of manufacturer or part number information. And really faintly, right there, you might be able to see that this is a Gabriel shock. It says made in Canada. And then the only identifying information is 0071. And down here we have 2248, which leads me down a rabbit hole going absolutely nowhere. Yeah, that's shot. But we'll get there. We'll get there. And I'm happy I pulled this out. Again, it's easy to do with the, or easier to do with the floor of the bus out. So I'm just going to swap out and take care of this type of stuff while I have the opportunity. Alright, more video without audio. Anyway, I just wanted to say thanks for watching. If you like this, if this was helpful in any way, please consider hitting subscribe. Leave me a comment. I love hearing from people and answering their questions. But more to come, obviously. But what's left to do? Let's ride the bus without a floor in it, because you don't get too many opportunities in life to do that. So I'm going to leave you with that, and I'll see you next time. This is Chris from Tiny Industrial signing off. Bye-bye.